In the early morning hours of June 6, 1944, the horizon of the French coast was veiled in a thick, heavy fog, obscuring the mighty Allied armada that had gathered for Operation Overlord, the largest amphibious invasion in history, as thousands of ships bobbed silently on the choppy waters of the English Channel. The anticipation among the men aboard was palpable, each soldier keenly aware of the monumental stakes at play. The air crackled with an anxious energy, the weight of destiny pressing heavily upon their shoulders. Young men, some barely out of their teens, and others with families waiting anxiously back home, steeled themselves for a fight that would shape the world for generations. Among them was Private First Class Joseph Thornton, a lanky 19-year-old from the heart of Ohio. He stood on the deck, clutching the rail, waves crashing against his legs. The smells of oily machinery mixed grotesquely with the salt air and the aroma of fear. Joseph had always dreamt of valor and glory, influenced by the grand tales spun by his father, a veteran of the Great War. But in that moment, under the threatening skies of Normandy, he felt the biting chill of terror gnawing at his resolve. The Allied forces were landing soldiers on 5 beaches: Utah, Omaha, Gold, Juno, and Sword, each targeting strategic points to create a foothold in occupied Europe. Joseph's unit, the 29th Infantry Division, was slated to hit Omaha Beach, a choice that had earned a grim reputation among those in the know. They had been briefed on the harrowing tales of what awaited them: heavily fortified positions, machine gun nests, and artillery fire that could shred flesh and steel alike. The thought sent a shiver down Joseph's spine, but it paled in comparison to the hope that fueled him, a determined flicker among the gathering storm. As dawn broke, the ominous darkness surrendered to a muted gray light. Joseph's company was near the front of the convoy, instructed to maintain their composure as they approached the beach. The sounds of distant artillery rumbled like thunderclouds hovering in the distance, and as they drew closer, the faint echoes of gunfire began to plague the ears of the soldiers like some ghastly siren song. Before long, the chaotic symphony of battle erupted around them. Ships unleashed a storm of artillery fire against the German defenses lining the coast, and the men could only watch as monstrous shells detonated upon the beach, sending up plumes of earth and debris into the air. The landing craft bounced violently on the waves, and with each jolt, Joseph clenched his jaw, rehearsing a makeshift mantra: "I must survive. I must make it to the beach." At last, they reached land, the clattering ramp of the landing craft dropping open to reveal the hell that lay ahead. Joseph pressed forward, the grit and chaos of war engulfing him. The cries of fellow soldiers fought against the cacophony of gunfire, and the salty air was thickened with the scent of metal and smoke. Adrenaline coursed through his veins as he sprinted off the ramp and onto the beach, his feet sinking into the wet sand, and his heart pounding against his ribcage with a ferocity that matched the chaos surrounding him. Bodies fell around him as if they were marionettes with severed strings, each thud a morbid reminder of the cost of invasion. Already Joseph could see blood staining the sand, and fear clawed at his throat. His thoughts scrambled as he tried to focus. Shoot, run, cover, survive. Enemy gunfire whipped overhead like angry wasps, and he felt the chaos thickening, a dense fog obscuring everything but the instinct to survive. Off to his left, a sergeant shouted orders, trying to organize his men amidst the disarray. "Move, get behind cover." The words were barely audible over the din, but Joseph's instincts kicked in, and he hit the ground, using a sand dune as a shield. He was dimly aware of other soldiers falling around him, struggling to crawl towards safety. The German positions were entrenched. Men armed with machine guns peppered the beach with deadly fire, creating a hellscape that was almost surreal. "Joseph, get to the seawall." The voice shattered through his panic. It was Corporal Dunn, a seasoned soldier with a thick Irish brogue, a man who had seen more combat than Joseph had ever imagined. He waved urgently from a few yards away, his uniform already splattered with blood. In that moment, Joseph made the decision that would forever anchor itself in his memory. He pushed off the ground, propelled by a sheer will to live, and fled toward the relative sanctuary of the seawall. Breathless, he reached the sturdy structure, dropping behind it, gasping for air as he took stock of his situation. The chatter of bullets still hummed overhead, but the wall offered a fragile shield. He peered cautiously around the side, watching as men in his unit frantically scrambled for cover. The scene was a living nightmare. Some men lay lifeless in the sand, while others cried out in agony. This was not the glory he had envisioned. It was chaos, suffering, and raw fear made tangible. "Dunn, what's the plan?" Joseph shouted, trying to keep his voice steady above the pandemonium. "We gotta take out those machine gun nests," Dunn yelled, a keen determination lighting up his eyes. "If we don't, we'll never get past this point." He was pointing toward a cluster of shacks about 100 yards down the beach, the enemy gunners sheltered inside, their aim unyielding. Joseph swallowed hard, heart thumping violently in his chest. A part of him wanted nothing more than to curl up and hide, but that thought was suffocated by an insatiable urge to fight back. He could hear the breaths of his comrades, mingling fear and resolve. The raw emotions swirled within him, clashing yet merging into one fervent desire for survival, for action. "Let's move then," Joseph said before he could second-guess himself. "All right, but stay low," Dunn cautioned. Together with a small squad of men, they left the semblance of safety behind, crawling through the sand, each inch a careful negotiation with fate. As they advanced, Joseph heard the thunder of artillery landing behind them. Friend or foe, it didn't matter. Their world was a fragile tapestry threatening to unravel at any moment. With each heartbeat, they gained ground, inching closer to the enemy's position. The machine guns roared to life again, and men fell, screams echoing as chaos reigned supreme. Joseph could feel the weight of every life lost wrapping around him. It was the pang of guilt and the sting of the reality that in war, survival was a double-edged sword. When they finally reached the shacks, the smell of gunpowder mingled with the scent of sweat and fear, permeating every pore. Dunn gave the signal, and the squad sprang into action, moving in unison, a collective determination driving them ever closer to the enemy's heart. Adrian, one of the youngest men in the group, was sent to throw a grenade into the hollow shell of a structure that served as a machine gun nest. "Cover me," the corporal shouted as he sprinted towards the door, adrenaline past the point of reason. The moment became absurdly cinematic. Even in its chaos, the young man was an archetype of brave folly, charging into danger with no thought of the consequences. Joseph aimed his rifle, his heart racing as he watched Dunn lay down suppressive fire while Adrian ducked and dodged. The impossible mission was a raw act of courage, and as the grenade flew through the air, time stretched agonizingly. Everything felt suspended. The explosion rocked the ground, sending a shockwave that knocked Joseph against the wall. In the seconds that followed, silence blanketed everything. The remnants of the structure crumbled, but the moment was fleeting. The German defenders were not finished yet. The air crackled once more with gunfire, and the squad dove for cover, knowing that their success had only temporarily disrupted the enemy. "Adrian," Joseph yelled, glimpsing the young soldier sprawled on the ground. The deep crimson staining the sand around him told a tragic story of sacrifice. A numbness washed over him as his heart clenched. This was the moment that shattered the illusion of glory. "Move, move," Dunn shouted, pulling Joseph back to action. Kneeling, Joseph steadied himself. He couldn't afford to crumble now. They needed to finish this. The stakes had become unbearable. The squad pressed forward, and Joseph found himself leading the charge into the heart of chaos. Anything beyond their immediate goal, survival, revenge, the greater advance, felt lost. He could feel the heat of the summer sun on his back, offering an ironic warmth amidst the freezing reality of human conflict. With a final push, they stormed the last stronghold, meeting fierce resistance. Joseph's rifle fired again and again, every shot laced with desperation. The battle raged on, a whirlwind of noise and confusion, each footfall a march toward an uncertain fate. Then came the moment of brutal clarity. As Joseph caught a glimpse of the enemy soldier, eyes wide with terror, he fired and the man crumpled to the ground. The world around him blurred. There was no victory here, only survival. He could hear laughter in his mind, the dreams he'd had of heroism slipping away, eroded by the ocean of violence flooding the beach. What did it mean to be a hero in a world where men died, ordinariness without the glimmering accolades he once idealized? As they neutralized the last stronghold, the realization sank in. They had claimed the beach, a crucial triumph weighed down by an iceberg of loss. The wounded were tended to, the dead counted. A mat of corpses lay between what they had fought for and what was lost. The aftermath was a blur. How many had lived? How many had perished? Numbers seemed hollow in the face of human loss. Exhaustion seeped into his bones, and as night enveloped the day, the very air transformed into a fog of somber reflection. Exhaustion cascaded over them like a funeral shroud, clinging to their skin. Joseph found himself staring out over the dark waves, thinking of the boy from Ohio who had set sail full of naive ambition, now lost in the scars of battle. Yet within him stirred a flicker of hard-earned wisdom. Each moment of pain and courage stitched him into the larger tapestry of history. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting an orange hue over the turbulent waters, he understood that bravery wasn't about the absence of fear, but the resolve to act in spite of it. Joseph absorbed the sounds of waves crashing against the shore, like a heartbeat echoing against the backdrop of a shattering world. He realized that he wouldn't return home the same person, caught in the throes of change. The battle for Omaha Beach was one piece of a larger struggle, one monster among many felled. But what lay ahead was uncertain, waiting to be written by the choices of courageous souls braving the tides of war. In that moment of frailty and strength, Joseph found a profound connection with his comrades, for they had faced the abyss together, still alive, still fighting, united by the scars etched into their souls. Together they had stood on the precipice of history, and together they would continue to forge a path through whatever lay beyond, their spirits forged into something greater than the wounds of war. Such was the reality of war. There was no glorification, nor fantasy. The flames of courage and determination burned clearly in a world rendered stark and raw. In surviving, they had chosen to carry their memories, honoring those lost, those who had never had the chance to fight for their own story. Bound by the sacrifices of lives intersecting in that moment of despair, they pushed ever onward into the unknown, warriors shaped by the throes of conflict, dreamers cursed and blessed to witness the birth of a new dawn.